Dagan, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer.
So Dagan, for those in our audience who don't know you, can you tell us how you came to the tower industry?
Sure, absolutely. Well, as most people, it was not planned. I started my career as an accountant. Grew up in the Northeast United States, up in Boston, and was an accountant at Ernst & Young for 7 years. Got my CPA, and then joined their transaction advisory services group. I actually had two clients. One was Global Tower Partners, and the other was OptiSite. So I got to meet some of the pioneers of the industry, and thankfully Mark Ganzi gave me a job offer to move to Boca Raton and run M&A for Global Tower Partners, which I took in 2006. I was the head of M&A for the business until the ultimate sale to American Tower in 2013. And the day after we sold to American Tower, I founded Phoenix Tower International, and felt like there was a great opportunity to really internationalize the tower model in a way that hadn't been done before. And I've been the CEO, first-time CEO for 8 years now, and it's been an incredible ride and journey and a heck of a lot of fun.
That's great. I know so many of us got into this in such a happenstance way. I love always hearing the stories behind it. But it has been quite a run. And maybe clearly Phoenix Tower, I always call it PTI, but Phoenix Tower has definitely kind of carved its niche. And maybe tell us a little bit about your assets here right now.
Absolutely. I think when I founded the company, I really felt like there was an opportunity to do transactions and ultimately to own and operate towers, macro towers, in geographies that were overlooked, and potentially to do more creative deal making, to be a partner to developers that were building towers in a way that the big publics weren't quite as focused on, and in a way that the private equities weren't as focused on. And in particular, when I founded the company, I felt like that opportunity existed in Latin America in a significant way. There was a significant demand for new towers, as well as operators that were looking to sell their towers. But when we looked at the publics at the time, they were really focused on the larger deals, larger opportunities. And so I felt like that was a niche that we could ultimately exploit and do good business with really reputable developers and with really strong wireless operators to buy their towers, to provide financing for the development of towers. That took us initially to Central America, where we built out across Costa Rica. We're in Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama today. It also took us to the Dominican Republic, to Jamaica, to French West Indies. We're really the only operator of towers in the Caribbean of any scale, with 2,500 towers there. It took us to Colombia, where we partnered with a number of developers and bought a number of towers from Telefonica down there. Bolivia, Peru. We have a significant scale across South America. And then a few years ago, we felt like there was a similar opportunity in Europe, and we expanded to Europe, where we own and operate towers in Ireland. We own and operate towers in Malta, Cyprus, and Italy, and of course in France, where we've had some recent announcements around towers there. So we've tried to be opportunistic. We've tried to be a true partner to our customers, many of whom are multinational customers, and we tried to focus on markets where we felt like we could achieve the same growth or similar growth to the US. On a parallel path, we've done about 7 transactions in the United States. Some of them small. We did in 2015, we bought 650 towers from T-Mobile. We've done a couple of other acquisitions there, and now we have over 1,000 towers in the US and a burgeoning services business there as well, which we're really excited about. But we were really led by partners that we felt like would build great towers, carriers that we felt like we could start great partnerships from, and in markets where we truly felt like there were multiple carriers spending on 3G at the time, 4G, and now 5G across the region, and growth rates that we thought were at or greater than what we see in the United States. And that's really what's drawn the business forward. We're in 18 markets today, and really all of them I've been to, all of them I enjoy being in. That's part of the business plan too, is doing business in places that you like to be in. It makes the job more fun. It's easier to talk to your customers, to your business partners. You could have significant presence there not have satellite offices, but hire really great personnel that you could work hand in hand with to grow the businesses. And that was always what I wanted to set forth to do when I founded the company. And so really excited about the markets we're in and excited about the future in those markets.
And obviously, American Tower is also very international, but it seems like you're going where they're not. I'm curious if, in some areas you certainly do overlap, but in the bidding for these assets, did you find the likely suspects also bidding against you, or were you able to just kind of swoop in there?
Well, it's a little of both, and I think that's the beauty of the business that we built, which is, of course, much of our competition is in the United States today, or major markets like France, major markets like Italy, major markets like Colombia, Mexico. Those are all markets we're in, and the transactions we've done there, at times we have competed heavily against the larger public companies. We've also looked at markets where they're not looking. That's part of growing a great business, is being opportunistic, seeing value where others aren't as focused, and really leveraging the international platform that we built to say, you know what, we can take a leap of faith on a market that the publics, that may be too small for the public tower companies to really operate in, because we have this great platform of systems and processes that we can quickly adapt that market to operate the back office. And then we can hire best-in-class people that day one could work with our customers on growing that business and on attacking new business, or work with our corp dev team on finding new opportunities in that market in a way that maybe our competition can't do, because there's a lot more bureaucracy associated with kind of building out that market, and they don't have the existing international platform built. And that, again, was always kind of part of the plan. So I think when you look at markets such as Panama, 4 million population, that's a smaller market that some of the publics may say is too small for us. We found that to be a tremendous market for us. When you look at the Caribbean, everything we've done across the Caribbean, we actually, our first transaction, we didn't compete with anybody really. It was a proprietary deal. Our subsequent transaction with Altice, where we bought 1,000 towers, there was a lot of interest from public companies on that transaction. But because we were the only operator that was already there, we had an inside track to get that deal done. We were able to demonstrate a level of professional expertise, a level of knowledge of the industry, and a level of seriousness in those markets to do follow-on deals there that our public peers didn't have, and really just conviction in the business plan that was harder for somebody that's not in those markets to achieve.
Got it. Okay. And you mentioned, did you say 7 or 8 deals you've done in the U.S.?
7.
7, and 2 very recently, like in the last few months. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Do you think that is like, of your, I know everyone loves all their children equally, but where you're going to grow near term, is it more of a focus on the U.S. given everything that's happening here?
I think, listen, the U.S. is a fantastic market, and lease up is now elevated in the United States in a way that it hasn't been for really a good portion of the last 8 years. I think they've kind of been in between that 4G, 5G growth trajectory, the trough, if you will, of lease up. And now we're climbing out it, and the 5G build-outs, the C-band build-outs are coming. Dish is obviously building out across the country. So we think it's an exciting time to be in the United States and to double down on our investment in the U.S. But I will say there's a scarcity of assets there, and as a result, valuations are very high in the United States because there's not a lot to buy. We are a global business. We don't have to do deals in any market. and so as a result, we did deals that made sense for us. And the 2 recent deals, one was with a very strong developer based out of Memphis, Tennessee, Tower Ventures. I've done numerous transactions with them, both at Phoenix Tower and at Global Tower Partners, built high quality towers. The friends of mine that I really enjoy working with, and that was an opportunity to really give them a great price for the assets, but feel really comfortable that we were buying high quality assets from them. And the services business, TAEC, I have a view that there will be elevated spending by our customers for the next decade, not only on actual buying the equipment, but on deploying at the sites. If we're able to expedite lease up on our own towers, if we're also able to help our customers achieve their build out needs with highly qualified professionals that can help them coast to coast, I think there's going to be elevated spending and activity over the next decade that we're gonna be able to have a better alliance with our customers and strengthen our relationships with them through the services that we can provide for them, and hopefully speed up lease up on our own towers as well. And that was really why we felt like TAEC represented a great acquisition for us. We previously acquired a business called Sector Site on the East Coast. We now have TAEC on the West Coast. We're looking at other services businesses that work directly with the big MNOs across the country to really help them on their deployment needs. I founded this business to help our customers and to kind of invest and double down on services companies that our customers really like working with and help take those relationships to the next level is really rewarding. And we think it's what the tower companies should be very focused on in the next decade.
And that actually is a perfect segue into my next question, because helping customers. In the past, there has been, not specific obviously to Phoenix, but a good amount of tension between the tower companies and the carriers. And some of that's aired dirty laundry for the publics. How would you characterize the tone of that relationship now? Is it better than it was a few years ago, or was that just the public finally hearing about what's been going on all along?
Well, I think there's two answers to that. One is I don't want to comment on our public peers, and certainly they comment on that directly to the street, and so I don't want to get involved. We've always had really strong and positive relationships with our customers, and it's the old adage: the answer is not no, it's yes, but it's yes, but let's talk about how we can make it happen. We rarely say no to our customers. We try to find ways to make it work, and a lot of times that is restructuring existing agreements to extend term, to potentially get ahead of deployments that they're doing on a way that works for both parties. And we're very open-minded in that regard when we work with our customers to try to help them achieve our goals. It's part of our mission statement. It's something we think is very important to the business. And it's how we've won a lot of opportunities with our customers by having that approach. We were a startup 8 years ago. The only way you're going to drive new business is if the customers say, I want to work with PTI. They're the guys that say yes when other tower companies say no. And so that's always been part of our personality. It's been part of the fabric of our business, and it's something all of our employees adhere to and believe in. It's in our mission statement: help our customers and business partners achieve their goals. However, I will say on kind of a more macro dynamic, in between the 4G and 5G spending, it's safe to say that the tower companies needed the carriers a little bit more than the carriers needed the tower companies. As 5G starts to grow, that dynamic does shift, and the carriers need real estate, and they need the scale real estate that the publics and us provide to them. And so when they need to make sure that they're able to achieve their network goals, they need the tower companies to perform. And that pendulum's shifting back a little bit more, where the carriers are a little bit more negotiable on some of these terms with the tower companies than they might have been a few years ago. And I think that's just part of the ecosystem that continues to evolve. I'm sure after the 5G networks are built out, there'll be another trough between 5G and 6G, and I think that pendulum will shift back. And I think that's just natural based on kind of the needs that the operators have for new site deployments, and ultimately the ability for the tower companies to deliver for them. But for us, we've never really had animosity with our customer partners. We don't want it. It's not something we look for. We really want to help them achieve their goals. And that's been a differentiator for Phoenix in a way that I think has been really helpful to our business plan.
It's certainly your reputation, it feels like, in the market, talking to the carriers, for sure.
So Mark,
are you seeing with two major spectrum auctions, this is US centric questions happening in the last 15, 18 months, are you seeing the need for more tower infill building? I've heard that, and I'm just curious if that you're seeing that.
We are seeing some elevated spending there. Listen, our lease up was the best we've had in years in the United States last year. We're forecasted to have a hopefully stronger year this year. And that's really on signing of leasing. That's a little bit different than actually when they install their equipment, which might be, as 6 months after, give or take, the actual signing of the lease up. But we've seen a lot of activity from all of our customers in the United States, and it's been really exciting. We've also seen some new overlays of IoT, some new overlays of fixed wireless, obviously public safety, not only in the United States with FirstNet, but also in other markets across the Caribbean, across South America, across Europe. So it's really nice to see not only the MNOs spending on their network, but also other users of towers. listen, it's ultimately steel. We are technology agnostic. And so when you see new technologies develop and ultimately co-locate on your towers, it gets you really excited for the future. Because ultimately, while the MNOs certainly are a major source of lease up, and we have seen elevated spending in the United States in particular, it's great to see diversity as well, because that's a business model that will continue to percolate over the coming years from other forms of technology. And we're excited to be in the tower industry and grab as much of that business as we possibly can.
Definitely. And behind every good growth story is usually a great partner, and you clearly have that in Blackstone. I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about the relationship, how it came together? Am I right in saying you are the tower horse they are riding right now?
Certainly, it feels that way, and when we look at all transactions globally with Blackstone, they've been an incredible partner. They were a founding partner. We were a startup, and Blackstone ultimately had conviction in the business plan in a way that other financing partners didn't have. I have a long-standing relationship with Jazz Kahara, who's a partner at Blackstone and ultimately was a partner on Global Tower Partners. So we met myself and Tim Culver, our executive chairman, through that relationship. And when I talked to Jazz and ultimately when TACOps invested, it's been a game changer for the business plan. Our initial business plan was 1,000 towers. With Blackstone, where we own 15,000 towers, 18,000 if you take into account our recent transaction in France. The business has evolved, far beyond my wildest dreams, and it's really a testament to Blackstone's partnership. And number one, they had conviction in the business plan and gave me the resources to achieve it. Number two, every strategic opportunity we look at in conjunction with Blackstone. And number three, when we want to do a transaction, when there's something we're interested with, you can't have better partners to show up at closing and ultimately deliver for our counterparties that we're doing business with. You can't have more creative deal makers than the Blackstone team, and they've just been an absolute pleasure to work with. And candidly, our entire workforce loves the Blackstone partnership. We employ 550 professionals across the 18 markets we're in. They love the charitable work that we do. They love where the industry is going, and they're really just fantastic partners to have. We couldn't have done any of this without them. So it's I can't say enough good things about them.
That's great. That's always a good sign. And you mentioned the give back and the service work. I mean, some would call this a soft question, but it really is a very real part of your mission statement. I'll be honest that looking through vetting these questions, you don't see many, main things on the website with, I think it was giving back. And tell us a little bit, clearly you guys more walk the walk than just talk about it. It's much more than a talking point.
Yeah, no, it was something that candidly I learned from my partners at Global Tower Partners. It was something that after we achieved success on our business plan at GTP, the entire management team, certainly Mark Ganzi, Alex Gelman, and really all levels of the management team at GTP felt like it was really important to give back on charities because we've seen so much success across the industry. And candidly, while we have seen so much success, there's so much to be done. And while wireless connectivity is a great thing to do for communities, we could be doing more, and we felt like we could be doing more. And so that really kind of goodwill that we were able to bring to people at GTP was infectious. Our employees loved it. We loved it. Our business partners loved that we were doing it. So when I founded PTI, I felt like it was really important to continue that charity work. Year one, when we were a startup, we had a charity line item in our P&L in our year one budget. We hadn't made any money then, but I felt like it was really important to tell Blackstone and our investors that this was going to be part of what PTI did and our business. I couldn't be happier that budget is now $1 million this year that we're spending towards charities. But it's more than just the money. All of our employees have PTO time off for charities that they support. The employees do propose charities in all of our markets. We have a goal every year to support a charity in every one of our markets. So all 18 countries that we're in, we want to be giving back in. We've really focused on giving back to children because that represents the future business leaders, the future doctors, the future professionals that are going to bring these economies forward. And so we really want to lift up those that are less fortunate than ourselves. And we also do that in really unique ways. We have a Wi-Fi center in Cabarete, Dominican Republic, that we've done in partnership with Dream and Altice. So we've actually partnered with one of our customers in the Dominican. Altice provided the fiber connectivity to the Wi-Fi center. We provided all the new computers and the Wi-Fi system. In Colombia, we're working with our partners to bring fiber there and provide connectivity to some of the schools there. And of course, we're just working hand in hand with charities that focus on the poor. We have trucks that drive around El Salvador right now and work with kids to teach them how to play games that we grew up with, like Duck, Duck, Goose, that they've never before in their lives, that are really helpful to learn how to lose a game and how to do it in a way that you're still having fun and in partnership with other children. These are life skills. These are things that are so rewarding to be a part of. As you see, I'm in a lot of these pictures because I make it a point when I'm going out to meet with my customers to also support a charity when I'm there with the local team. It's a great way to increase the bonds across our company. It's a great way to increase the bonds across the communities that we do business in. And in general, it's what life should be about. It's what success should be about giving back. And so that's really important. And then lastly, for the environment, we went carbon neutral last year. That's something I hadn't thought about too much. And then Vertical Bridge went carbon neutral. And I said, you know what? What a great thing to do. I want to be a fast follower there. We went carbon neutral last year. We're really excited about that too. And giving back to the environment and making sure we're being stewards to the environment is something that we think is really important as well. So it's I can't say enough good things about what our teams are doing across all these markets to really support charities. And it's part of the fabric of who PTI is. It's part of our mission statement to give back. And it's something we're really proud of here.
It's a really special thing. Dagan, my last question, asking you to look in your crystal ball. You've obviously had a heck of a run the last 5 years. And I'm just curious, will the next 5 years for the industry, this is not specific to PTI, be better than the last 5, or the same, or slightly more bearish?
I think in general, there's a lot of positive things in the future. I think in particular, the headwinds that you have are probably the carriers potentially consolidating in certain markets, which again, we've seen that in the United States. It's not all bad news. You had Dish that really was a result of that, and the spinoff and the disposition from that merger that Dish was a beneficiary of. You see it in other markets. You see it in Central America right now. You see it in Europe as well, where operators are going from 4 to 3 carriers, from sometimes 3 to 2 carriers, depending on the size of the market. I think that represents one headwind. I think RAN sharing and/or JV infracos represents another headwind, which is just, you may have 4 operators, but you may ultimately have 2 carriers, the equivalent of 2 carriers spending on their networks because they're working together as part of their JV infracos, or they're just RAN sharing. A lot of that is really in more rural parts of the markets where the regulator is active and says that they need to build out certain parts of the markets that just aren't economical. And so we don't see that in the urban core in many of these markets, but we see it as potentially a risk in some of the other parts of the country. Those are the headwinds. Those are offset by what is the hockey stick of continued data consumption that I think will continue in line with the projections, probably potentially more than what the projections have showed. If you look at kind of history, the projections have always been too conservative in terms of data consumption. And that's the wind at our sail that will continue in the tower industry. And I think, again, the tower industry, unlike other parts of the wireless ecosystem, is technology agnostic. It is steel. It is a terrestrial network that is permitted, that is entitled, that is here all over the globe, that is in place now. So as new technologies are adopted, are they going to invent a new network and satellites, and spend all that money? Or are they going to hang their equipment on the existing poles that are close to the users using their devices? My bet is that it's going to be the latter. It will continue to be the latter. And so where you may see some consolidation, where you may see some RAN sharing, where you may see less lease up from our traditional MNO clients, I think that will be offset by fixed wireless, public safety, IoT, other forms of communications that go on these towers that will more than offset that. And then you talk about the game changer that is 5G, which is, what's that breakthrough technology, Jennifer? Is it virtual reality? Is it augmented reality? Is it self-driving cars, or is it something that I can't even think about right now, or a new flashy device that Apple's going to come up with? You just don't know. But I think the bet is there will be that breakthrough technology, and that will continue another drive of acceleration of CapEx spending by our traditional M&O customers, in addition to all of the other forms of technology that are hanging their equipment on our towers. The future is bright. I truly believe it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. And I think it should be at or better than the last 5 years have been across the world. And I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure.
The future is bright, and with your enthusiasm, it's infectious. So thank you so much, Dagan. That was a great interview, and really appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks so much for your time, and it's a pleasure to talk to you.